Lakers history stems back a little further. In fact, it goes back to Minneapolis. This was the 100th Game 1 hosted by the Lakers ever. 22-point loss is tied for the worst. The other, the 72 finals, where Walt Frazier and the Knicks beat Wilt and Jerry West in that Game 1. That was the only game New York won in that series. LA took the next 4. NBA Countdown crew has more on reaction to this Game 1.
So it's the Minnesota Timberwolves that gets the best of the Los Angeles Lakers here in Game 1. Perkins said repeatedly, I can't just call it a punch. It was...
They got dropped.
It was a little bit more than that. What was it that made the difference here for the Minnesota Timberwolves in this game?
Well, they were making threes, and they put the Lakers on their heels offensively because they were making threes, number one. Number two, they got aggressive. They got all up in them defensively. Number three, I don't know if anybody's going to mention this, but I'm going to mention this. Where was LeBron James tonight? He was very, very lethargic. Very lethargic. And this Saturday night, I don't know what the hell was going on with him. J.J. Redick went on camera and said, quote, "We don't have any energy. It's like guys don't even recognize that it's the playoffs. What the hell is going on up in here?" He was scratching his head, looking like he had dandruff, for crying out loud, because he couldn't figure it out. This is the kind of stuff that you're talking about. I don't suspect this will happen in Game 2, but that's how much J.J. was scratching his head, because he couldn't believe what we couldn't believe. Luka showed up offensively. He was a liability defensively, and LeBron James was a liability, period, and nobody on Minnesota was, and that's why they won this game.
A playoff franchise record, 21 threes for Minnesota in this one, Perk.
I mean, that's been J.J. Redick's game plan the whole entire season, right? Pack the paint and force guys to make shots. And Bob Myers called it luck, and it really is. These are professional athletes, right? These guys on Minnesota can make shots. Anthony Edwards, Dante, even Julius Randle knocking down the three at a pretty nice clip. But again, it was the defense for me. They made them uncomfortable. Got on their heels like a pair of church socks. That was the difference maker.
And Jaden McDaniels. I mean, two things that I looked at this game was Jaden McDaniels and how would Ant-Man handle the traps and different things like that. Jaden McDaniels had 25 points, career playoff high, and then on the traps. Ant-Man, you grew up tonight, dog. You really grew up. And sometimes as a very, very talented player, the hardest thing to do as a coach is to get him to make the easy play. He made the easy play.
So you're J.J. Redick. You're going back to the drawing board. The most important adjustments happen oftentimes between Game 1 and Game 2. The onus is on the coach who lost to be able to bring it in Game 2. That's J.J. Redick. What do you do?
I go back to a little bit more of Jackson Hayes at the 5. I get back with more of that lob threat for Luka. And then on defense, we got to figure out what we're going to do with Ant-Man. That same defense didn't work. Him packing the paint, him getting in the paint, bringing 5 guys, and daring him to make the right play. He grew up. That doesn't work anymore.
Luka scored 37, didn't mean a thing. LeBron James got to show up. It's the playoffs.
The playoffs continue today on ABC. We'll see you on NBA Countdown at 12:30 Eastern.
And Malika, following NBA.
Physically, we were ready, if that makes sense.
Julius Randle putting some muscle in his hustle.
Maybe it took us one playoff game to now get a feel for it.
They turn over Doncic. Connolly pulls the 3.
I think it was physical. They were hitting a lot of threes.
Pulls the 3, and it's wet. Wide open Randle. Cash out. DiVincenzo holds it and laces the deep 3.
We weren't physical. They were running. They were getting anything they want, and we got to be better with that.
All right, we'll see if they're able to do that in Game 2. Anscape senior writer David Dennis Jr. and 13-year NBA veteran and analyst Quentin Richardson join us now. Let's start with Wolves-Lakers, guys. What was your biggest takeaway from Game 1 of this series, Q?
Man, I was extremely surprised with the game that LeBron James and the rest of the Lakers had. I felt like that the Minnesota bigs, they came out, they impacted the game in a major way. The wing guys shot the ball well. You had a big game from McDaniel. And obviously we knew that Ant was going to be, the feature guy for them. But I felt like that McDaniels was the second big guy on their team. He had a huge game playing both ways. And the Lakers got to get ready, man. The Minnesota Timberwolves are serious, and they up 1 on them already.
Yeah, from the moment Luka got to that Lakers team, I've been questioning the sustainability of that Lakers defense. Last night, I think we got our answer. The Wolves got everything they wanted from that team when when Lakers were trying to defend. They blew by at the point of attack and passed the ball out to open three-point shooters. The Wolves shot 50% from 3, and the Lakers, if you're J.J. Redick, you may say, hey, that's not sustainable. But I think it is, because they were 9 for 12, 75% on corner threes. A lot of those were wide open. The Lakers have to shore up that defense, and they still got outscored by 11 points in the paint. There was just no defense in that Lakers squad.
Yeah, like you said, it was one of the biggest questions that we had had since Luka got to LA. Okay, so Wolves Lakers, that was one of our 4 games yesterday. Q, what other things stood out to you from Saturday?
Man, the Denver game, I want to say Joker, I want to say Aaron Gordon, but Russ Westbrook, man, Russ Westbrook made play after play. He wasn't perfect, he wasn't, flawless, but he made play after play to help his team come through and get a big-time win yesterday. And I feel like Jamal Murray showed up, Aaron Gordon showed up, and the rest of that supporting cast, Christian Braun, everybody showed up. I felt like the Clippers had a great game, but I felt like those guys came through down the stretch for Denver and got them the W. This is going to be a great series, this Denver Clippers series. I'm super excited for this one.
Yes, that will be a great series, but the thing that stuck out to me was that Pistons fourth quarter meltdown. They played pretty much a flawless first 3 quarters, and then they pulled the Benjamin Button. They waited until the end to get young. They just melted down in that fourth quarter. You start the quarter off without even getting the ball inbounds and the 5-second violation. I can't remember any time I've ever seen anything like that. 7 field goals made, 6 turnovers. They looked shell-shocked in that fourth quarter after playing a pretty flawless first 3 quarters of that game. They let this one slip. If they lose this series, they'll go back to that 21-0 run in that first quarter and say that is the way. That is the reason that they lost.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I was watching that game and then I left for a little bit. I came back and I was so confused. The Knicks' 21-0 run is the 3rd largest by any team in the fourth quarter of a playoff game in the play-by-play era. It was wild. Thanks, guys.
Sports Center, Christine Williamson, Phil Murphy here with you. The NBA playoffs tipped yesterday with a quadruple header. Main event in Los Angeles, but Ant Edwards and the Wolves stole the show. Take it to the 3rd quarter. Lakers down 20. Jaden McDaniels picks Luka's pocket. Mike Conley, transition 3, 37 years young. Wolves up 23. Then Edwards. LeBron whiffs on the steal. Ant hit 323s in the regular season, by far a career high. Felt like Minnesota hit that many in this game. They had 21, still a playoff franchise record. Ant had 22. Wolves won by 22.
Clippers facing the Nuggets in their game 1. Clippers trail by 2 with 20 seconds left. James Harden, floater. Yep, that's a tie ball game, ladies and gentlemen. We go to overtime, just over a minute to play. Nuggets up 1. Jokic to Christian Braun. That's a 3. Nuggets go up 4. 10 seconds left in the game. Clippers down 3. Batum tries to inbound to Harden, but Westbrook is like, no, he's hype. Harden is frustrated. Nuggets go on to win this overtime thriller, 112-110.
Eastern Conference, Knicks and Pistons, their first playoff series since 1992. Jalen Brunson left the floor limping after the 3rd quarter. Tibbs said he went to go grab his cape. That was a 5-0 run for the Knicks at that point. It got a lot worse for Detroit. Karl Anthony Towns, steal to Josh Hart to Brunson. Knicks scored 3 touchdowns unanswered. A 21-0 run in the 4th quarter. 3rd longest run in the 4th quarter of a playoff game as far back as our play-by-play data goes. Brunson had 34. Knicks win by 11.
Pacers taking on the Bucks. We go to the 3rd. Pacers up huge. Keep an eye on Pascal Siakam. He loses it. Giannis recovers it. He pushes it. Siakam's like, sorry, dude, I didn't mean to give that to you. I'm going to get this back. Then he gets to his spot. That's a triple. He had 25 points. His 6th 25-point game in the playoffs with the Pacers. Under 2 in the 4th. Halliburton drives to the basket. He gets fouled. Then he starts to exchange words with Damian Lillard on the bench. They get a little chippy. They don't want the smoke, though. Pacers take game 1. The NBA playoffs continue today with 4 more first-round games. Memphis and OKC get things going. 1 Eastern on ABC. The Thunder finished the season with the best point-per-game differential in NBA history. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies have lost 9 straight games to the Thunder. The second game of ABC's doubleheader starts at 3:30 Eastern as Boston hosts Orlando. The Celtics made an NBA record 1,457 threes this season, while the Magic made the fewest and allowed the fewest three-pointers in the association. Cleveland, they host Miami starting at 7 Eastern. After winning 27 more games than the Heat did this season, the Cavs are minus 2,500 favorites to win the series and plus 160 to sweep Miami at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. The Warriors and the Rockets close out the day, 9:30 Eastern. ESPN Bet Sportsbook has Golden State as the series favorites. It's just the 2nd time in the last 30 years a 7 seed has been favored over a 2 seed.
David Dennis Jr., Quentin Richardson with us now. Let's start with that Golden State-Houston game. As Christine mentioned, it's rare for a 7 seed to be favored over a 2 seed. Houston is favored today, though, Q, by 1.5 points. What stands out to you in this series?
all day long to Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. That veteran threesome and the experience those guys have. I look to them to lead the Warriors past the young and talented Houston Rockets, but I don't think it will be easy. I think Houston will be game to put up a huge fight. I think they're gonna like we've been talking about, put a men Thompson on Steph and try and make it as difficult as possible. But I feel like this is gonna be a big time Jimmy Bucket series. He's got a chance to put his imprint on the playoffs and make a big impression this first round right here.
Yeah, and beyond those stars, this is going to be a defensive rock fight between both of these teams. You have a Warrior squad on one side who has been top in defense since Jimmy Butler got there, especially defending in the half court, against a Rockets team that has struggled in the half court with their offense. And then you have a Rockets squad that had Steph Curry. That was one of the worst games I've seen him play earlier this season, that three-point game. They have a lot of wings. They have a lot of bigs that are going to hound him and stay on him the entire time. What is going to help the Rockets on the offensive side, though, is their rebounding, their offensive rebounding. When that half-court offense gets stagnant, they can get the ball back and get those putbacks. This series is going to come down to that rebounding and how long they can hound Steph. At some point, he's going to get loose. It's just a matter of time, but to see how long the Rockets can keep him kind of contained.
That Steph game you're mentioning, that was just 2 weeks ago, 1 for 10 from the floor. The silver lining for the Rockets, Christine mentioned that 7-over-2 favorite thing. Last time that happened, 2021, Lakers favored over the Suns. Phoenix not only won the series, they went to the finals. Guys, both top seeds open their playoff runs today, Cavs and Thunder. Cleveland's minus 2,500 to advance. OKC's minus 4,000. Q, which one seed will have a tougher task in the first round?
I believe it will be Cleveland, man. I feel like the Heat always find a way to make things tougher, to make it a fight. Spo finds a way to get more out of his team, more out of his players, and they come and show up and deliver and compete in a different way. I feel like Cleveland will have the tougher first round. I just feel like OKC, they've beaten the crap out of Memphis like the last 9 times, and I don't expect them to sweep Memphis, but I think OKC has the easier first round than Cleveland does.
Okay, let's be real. Like, I think both of these actually are going to probably be sweeps, but if I had to pick one, I'm going to agree with Q here and say that Miami has the best shot. They have Spoelstra is an incredible coach. The last time they played, it was a close match. They had a little bit of that zone defense that kind of annoyed the Cleveland Cavaliers a little bit. Cleveland kind of stumbling into the playoffs a little bit, and Tyler Hero can get hot. If I had to pick one that may give them tough 4 games, it would be Miami. But for real. Yeah. Like, I know this is Easter. I know it's Easter Sunday. We ain't getting no miracles out of either of these two series. Both of these teams, Cleveland and OKC, will have a long rest going into their second round.
That's why we asked tougher. Cleveland opens their playoff series today at 7. The OKC series opens today at 1 on ABC. David, Q, thank you.
Their quest to win back-to-back titles in Game 1 against the Magic today on ABC. The Celtics have an NBA record 18 titles but have not repeated as champions since 1969 in what would be Bill Russell's final career game. As we welcome in our friend Mark J. Spears from Boston. What are the Celtics saying about their title defense?
Well, going back to what you just mentioned, Larry Bird didn't win back-to-back championships. Neither did Paul Pierce. So Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they both know that they have a chance to make rare history in Boston and do something special. Jason Tatum told me yesterday that this is their time, their era, and they got to maximize this window together and do something special. But he also said he's not looking past the Orlando Magic, and they got to win the first round first. In terms of Jaylen Brown, he also mentioned that they got to focus on today, not 6 weeks from now, not a month from now, not 10 years from now. And he also said an interesting quote, you never step in the same river twice. And I thought about it a lot. And basically what he meant by that was, when you step into a river once, the step into the river is going to be different the next time. So he's saying that his journey for the Celtics this year will certainly be much different than it was a season ago.
Very interesting quote. Very wise words, though. The Celtics look to be the first team
you
to
can
repeat.
use it.
Exactly. Since the Warriors in 2017, 2018. Now, let's talk about the Magic. You recently sat down with Paolo Banchero. He played in front of the Cameron Crazies when he was at Duke, and he's obviously played in every NBA arena. But why does he most enjoy playing in Boston?
Well, you know, I covered these Celtics in 2008 when they won a championship. Covered them for the Boston Globe, and I remember at that time talking to the late, great Kobe Bryant. And he said that when they were leaving, even though that the Lakers lost, the fans were rocking the bus and actually throwing rocks at it. This crowd shows up early, 20 minutes before the game. They're like a college crowd. They dress crazy. They dance to the Bee Gees as a cigar thing when they win. Dancing, yeah. Remember that song? It might be before your time.
It definitely is.
But Banchero, even with all the intimidating factors that come with playing in TD Garden, he told me that this is a top 3 arena for him, maybe the best overall. He likes the trash talking. He also said it feels heavier here when the Celtics take the lead and the crowd gets going. But even though he's a young dude, 22, he loves the history. He talked to me about Larry Bird and Paul Pierce, and he certainly like to make some history today against the champs.
Yeah, I would imagine he likes to go in there and possibly shut those Celtics fans up. I'll be in Boston in about 3 hours, so I'll see you very soon, Mark. Thank you.
Hey.
The NBA playoffs continue today with 4 more first-round games. Both 1 seeds in action. Memphis visits OKC. Things get going at 1 Eastern on ABC. The Thunder finished this season with the best point per game differential in NBA history. Meanwhile, the Grizz have lost 9 straight to the Thunder. Second game of ABC's doubleheader starts at 3:30 Eastern as Boston hosts Orlando. The C's made an NBA record 1,457 threes this season, while the Magic, a bit of a throwback, made the fewest and allowed the fewest threes per game. Cleveland hosts Miami starting at 7 after winning 27 more games than the Heat did this season. The Cavs are minus 2,500 favorites to win the series, plus 160 to sweep Miami at ESPN Bet Sportsbook. And the Dubs and Rockets close out the day, 9:30 Eastern. ESPN Bet Sportsbook has Golden State as the series favorite. Just the second time in the last 30 years a 7 seed has been favored over a 2. We're now here to dole out winners with ESPN Bet's Aaron Dolan. And how's it feel that it took all of 1 game for your Nuggets Clippers overtime prop?
I was proud of myself. Very proud of myself. We had an entire series and it cashed in the first game.
Let's keep going with that good luck that you heard minus 2,500 for the Cavs to beat the Heat.
Yep.
What's the play there if I want to get a little bit more back than $25 to net a buck?
Yeah, right. All right. We're looking at Cleveland in the first half, minus 7.5. I do expect them to jump out on this Miami team that's had to play 2 additional games this past week, which, by the way, had to play on the road against the Bulls, had to play on the road against Atlanta. Cleveland is more well-rested. They also finished the regular season first in offensive rating, top 10 in defensive rating, and they averaged the 2nd most points per game in the first half. So I do think Eric Spoelstra and company are finally going to simmer down just a little bit, more specifically, again, in that first half. Cleveland is the better team, which is why we're seeing them favored by so many points, but I will isolate this to the first half and lay the 7.5 points.
Believe it or not, things are even more lopsided at the book for the Thunder Grizzlies series. OKC, minus 4,000. So what play do you like here?
I'm looking at OKC in the first quarter, minus 4.5. OKC in the first quarter is one of my favorite bets for the entire season. But this comes down to a few things. One, the Grizzlies, John Moran is not as healthy as we're going to hopefully. He is not as healthy as we are expecting him to be. On top of that, OKC was great during the regular season, 4-0 straight up, and they won those games by an average of 19 points. And also OKC, second best team in the first quarter out of any team in the league. So I do expect them to jump out against the Memphis Grizzlies because this is a marathon, not a sprint with some of these series. So it's not like they have to come out and win this one 100%. So I'll take OKC in the first quarter at home.
And all the double-digit wins OKC had, they just get out in front and then cruise. Yeah. Celtics at home against the Magic. This also lopsided for the series. So how can we get in on the fun in this 2-7 in the East?
All right, Paolo Banchero, I'm going to go under 1.5 made threes against the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are really good at defending the perimeter. They're the 3rd best team in opponent 3-point percentage. And while he's averaging 2 made threes per game, he's only had averaging 1 against the Boston Celtics in 2 meetings this season. Now, this has all the potential to be an absolute blowout-style game, so maybe it doesn't end up playing the entire game. This is game 1, so all these spots and situations are very different, and also it's very difficult to get a player prop at plus money, so we're trying to get some type of value here, so I'll go Banchero under 1.5 made threes against a very healthy Celtics team.
3 plays for today from Aaron Dolan. If you didn't listen to her Nuggets Clippers OT prop, you should have. Aaron, thank you.
All in hindsight.
in the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder opened their playoff run against the Grizzlies at 1 Eastern on ABC. The Thunder won 68 games in the regular season and enjoyed their 4 games against Memphis, winning all 4 by double digits, including a pair of blowouts at home. OKC outscored the Grizzlies by 75 points combined in those 4 meetings. The Thunder are odds-on favorites to win the West and reach the NBA Finals.
So with more on this matchup in Oklahoma City, our senior NBA insider, Shams Charania, he joins us now. So Shams, Ja Morant, he's dealing with that ankle sprain. Got a short turnaround after Friday's play-in game where he took 2 injections before that game. What can you tell us more about Morant with now less than, 2 hours from tip?
Brian, Ja Morant will be a go today in Oklahoma City, but he is dealing with a pretty severe ankle sprain, as you said, and I reported in the last couple of days that he underwent 2 injections, painkilling injections, in a 24-hour span in the lead up to Friday's clinching game against the Dallas Mavericks to secure their 8th seed. I'm told over the last 24 hours now leading up to today's game, he's had around-the-clock treatment and rehab to mitigate the swelling in that ankle, but he will be playing. People around the Grizzlies know he's determined to go. And out in the Eastern Conference, Damian Lillard's return has become the #1 topic now, especially after that Game 1 loss for the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm told he is expected to make his return in Game 2 on Tuesday or Game 3 on Friday. He was cleared for full contact on Thursday. He's been doing workouts every single day since then to ramp up and doing more full contact to see when can he get into the game shape, conditioning, and stamina necessary for him to make his return. But clearly after that Game 1 loss, he is very much needed alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo for Milwaukee.
Yeah, you're right about that, Shams. Bucks, of course, played Tuesday night in Indiana. As for the final game tonight, Warriors-Rockets. And listen, they call him Playoff Jimmy for a reason. What are the Warriors expecting out of Jimmy Butler tonight?
Forget what anyone with the Warriors expects except one person. That's Mike Dunleavy Jr. That's the man that traded for him. That's the man that played with Jimmy Butler in Chicago. And he's very well aware what playoff Jimmy is all about. And whenever there was any trepidation within parts of that Warriors organization in the months leading up to the NBA trade deadline in February about trading for a guy like Jimmy Butler, given how everything ended in Miami, they clearly knew what they were getting when they gave him a 2-year max extension. And now he's really been a focal point of their offense. And seeing how he evolves down the stretch of games, how Steve Kerr puts the ball in his hands. We saw a shift after that Clippers loss to end the regular season. Steve Kerr put the ball in his hands in that play-in tournament. I would expect that to be a reoccurring trend here in the playoffs. They know it's playoff time for playoff Jimmy.
Yeah, you're right about that. He is our senior NBA insider, Shams Charania. Thank you, Shams.
Let's go back to that Grizzlies-Thunder matchup that will take place later on this afternoon. That's where we find Tim Legler. He'll be on the call for today's game and joins us from OKC. And Tim, you called the Grizzlies play-in game on Friday night. Ja Morant played through that ankle sprain. Now, with a quick 36-hour turnaround, how do you expect the ankle will impact Ja Morant?
Yeah, well, Mina, he made a joke that night after the game that he really couldn't feel his ankle, and that's why he played so well, because he is getting those injections. So whatever they did to him certainly worked, because I didn't see any limitations whatsoever in Ja Morant the other night. His quickness was there. Clearly his explosiveness was there. He gave us one of the dunks of the year on a putback. So I think Ja Morant felt comfortable. Physically, he looked fine. I know that the injections are masking that at times, so I'm sure he's had a lot to deal with over the last couple of days. But I'm expecting Ja Morant to look like he did on Friday, which was basically 100%. And they're going to need Ja Morant to be that against an Oklahoma City team that's as fast end-to-end as any team in this league.
Yeah, the ankle looked absolutely fine when he did that dunk. And Ja Morant struggled in his 2 games against the Thunder this season, shooting just 34% from the field. Meanwhile, the Thunder dominated the regular season, and they likely have an MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So what makes this OKC team so difficult to defend?
Well, look, it's built around a superstar. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander really doesn't have a matchup in this league. He gets where he wants to on the floor, and their entire offense is predicated on that. He's just an impossible cover in isolation situations. So with all the traffic he commands, that leads a lot of space for the rest of that team. And they've got great balance. They've got another co-star in Jalen Williams. And then beyond that, on any given night, it can be a number of 5 or 6 different guys that can give you double figures. But for me, the real calling card with this team has been their defense. This has been the best defensive team in the league by a wide margin across every metric you can possibly think of. That is really their identity, and that is going to be the biggest challenge for Memphis today, particularly in taking care of the ball, because if you turn it over against Oklahoma City, it turns into a track meet. Very difficult to recover from that.
Yeah, you mentioned balance. The Thunder were 4th in the NBA in scoring and 3rd in points allowed in the regular season. Tim, thanks so much, and enjoy the game.
Appreciate it.
Let's stay out west from the 1 seed in the West to the 2 seed in Houston. And our Anscape senior writer, David Dennis Jr., and of course, 13-year NBA vet. Our analyst, Quentin Richardson, is back with us as well. All right, Double D, I'll start with you because, you know, you look at this one. What's the one determining factor you see in this series when you talk about the Warriors, the Rockets? You got age, experience versus the youth.
Yeah, I know everybody wants to see the stars, but this is going to be about defense between these two teams. First, let's start with the Rockets here. The Rockets is the same team that gave Steph Curry probably the worst offensive game we've seen him have in years, holding him for 1 for 10. Amen Thompson is going to be locked in on him. They're going to try to guard everybody else, but Steph Curry is the engine of that offense. If they can slow him down, they have a shot. On the other side, you have a Warriors defense that's been #1 in the league since Jimmy Butler got there, especially in the half court. But it's not just about stopping the team. It's about ending that possession, which means getting the rebounds. The Rockets have rebounded offensively 35% of their misses, and they have 18 second chance points. You have to not only stop them offensively, you have to grab those rebounds, secure them, especially when they go double big.
Yeah, I agree with David, man. This is going to be a microscope of defense on Steph. You're going to see Amen Thompson, probably Dylan Brooks. You're going to see a myriad of people on him with the point to try and slow him down as much as possible. The more you can slow him down, the better you have a chance at beating the Warriors. Obviously, Jimmy Butler is now in the fold, so you're going to see some defense being spent on him. But I feel like they're going to hone in and try and lock down Stephen Curry and slow down Jimmy Butler in this series. And that's their key to winning, because their best shot is playing their high-octane defense and letting their offense do what it does. And if you can slow those two guys down, it's not a whole lot else that the Warriors got to offer past those two.
So, Q, you got both #1 seeds in action today. You've got the Cavs, you got the Thunder. In your opinion, both obviously overwhelming favorites to win. Which one you think has the tougher task, though, ahead?
I would say OKC for everything that David was just talking about, man. That Tim was just talking about. I really think that if Ja Morant goes out there and plays like a superstar, he's good enough to give his team a chance to compete. Do I have Memphis winning this series? I do not, but I do believe that if Ja Morant can go out there and play like a superstar and he gets some assistance from those guys like Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bain, and they come out there and they play well like they did in that game against Dallas. Obviously, Dallas was a different type of team and a different type of animal than Oklahoma City. But I do believe you have to remember Memphis was a 3 seed earlier in the season, and they had a precipitous fall off, but they're a good team. They just in a bad seeding situation. So I don't think this series is as wide as everybody thinks.
Look, I know you got your Easter suit. We both got our Easter suit on. Ain't going to be no Easter miracles going on here. Both of these 8 seeds are going to be short work in these matchups, guaranteed. But if there's one team that I think could make a few of these games interesting, I think it would be Miami and the Heat, in the way that they are well coached by Eric Spoelstra. The fact that the Cleveland Cavaliers have kind of stumbled into the playoffs. Tyler Hero could have a couple nuclear games here. Bam Adebayo can make a difference. I mean, they can make some of these games interesting, but I would be shocked if either of these series go longer than 5. I'm expecting at least one of these to be a sweep.
It's an interesting point because you may recall it was just 2 years ago that the Heat made the finals as an 8 seed under Eric Spoelstra.
There was a Jimmy Butler there who ain't there anymore.
Let's Spoelstra Nostra. Let's Spoelstra Nostra though now.
You're right about that.
He's both.
Quentin Richardson.